and welcome back to Football Made Simple. Problem is usually not a word associated with Lionel Messi, unless of course talking about the problems he poses to opposition defenders. But in the recently gone Champions League quarterfinal against Bayern Munich, a familiar problem occurred that Barcelona have been faced with often in the last few years when taking on higher quality opposition, and Leo Messi is a part of this equation. So let's dig deeper and take a look at it. But first, a special thanks to all my Patreons for helping to make videos like this possible. If you have the means and want to support Football Made Simple, head on over to patreon.com/footballmadesimple and you'll get access to exclusive videos as well as early access to videos such as How to Fix Barcelona and Mourinho's Tactical Genius as Madrid manager. And if you can't afford to support, no problem at all. Now, let's get into the video. Of course, when referring to Messi being part of a problem, it has nothing to do with his quality. As you can see on the OneFootball app, which is today's sponsor, he finished as La Liga's top scorer and top assister, and he is still one of, if not the best players in the world. The problem he poses is purely tactical. This season, very often he has been played on the right wing, 24 times to be exact, which is over half of his appearances. And while he has been highly effective, the key here is that he has been a right winger only on the team sheet, as he almost instantly looks to drift central. This of course massively affects the balance of the team, due to Barcelona functioning around Messi, as only Archer was a pass target more often than Messi in La Liga. So the play ends up being very concentrated in the central regions. Let's contrast this with earlier periods of his career when he played out on the right as well. Even back then, he used to cut infield, but we see some differences in the way he did this. In earlier spells, he cut in much higher up the pitch, usually with a much larger emphasis on looking to attack the goal. Well, now he tends to move infield more frequently and almost immediately, with the goal of creating for the side, usually to the runners ahead of him. Earlier in his career, this creativity was being handled by a more capable midfield, including Xavi and Iniesta, so he could afford to hold the width during these phases. And further down that same timeline, Neymar also loved to cut in and was perfectly capable of creating in the central areas, so he and Messi could alternate in dominating the central space. This leads into the problem Barcelona have now. With Messi rarely holding the width, it means that the onus is on Semedo to push high and try to provide the width to give the team some sort of attacking balance. The first obvious problem this leads to, as evidenced in the recent loss to Bayern Munich, which is linked in the cards now, is that more often than not, this leaves gaping holes in the defensive zone here that can be exploited. And to make matters worse, while Semedo is perfectly capable going forward, he's not elite at creating opportunities in the attacking third. So although he takes up this position, he's not an attacking threat to the opposition. Contrast this to when it was Dani Alves in the fullback position. Alves was a generational fullback who had an incredible engine and was happy to push high, but crucially track back when needed to defend much more efficiently than Semedo. But perhaps even more importantly, when he was high up the pitch, he had a great relationship with Messi and Xavi on the right hand side, in addition to genuinely being an attacking threat in his own right, with his delivery and creativity. As a result, the team had a balance that they don't have now. We have seen them try to adapt to this in prior seasons by playing Rakitic on the right of a midfield three, from where he could then look to move wide. But of course, the width he provided wouldn't be as effective as a real winger, and only served to weaken them in the centre. In addition, this was an aging Rakitic, not one at his peak. But a lot of his early career was spent in the central role as a false nine. In recent seasons, we have at times seen him re-emerge in the central role, usually in a front two alongside Suarez or Griezmann. It is well known how effective he was as a false nine, but again importantly, there was great balance to the team, with the wingers maintaining their width ahead of him, but now that is different. When he plays in the front two, we have seen the team use a diamond in the midfield region. Again, that means they have the same problem with Semedo having to try and provide the attacking width single-handedly. And even on the occasions where a flat 4-4-2 has been used, the wide men have often been central midfielders doing a job out wide, so of course, this is not as effective as possible. But one of, if not arguably the biggest tactical problem presented by playing Messi central, comes on the defensive end. Early on in his career, he was full of energy and defended from the front, often being the one to lead the counter-press. And importantly, this press came from the team as a whole, meaning that the average defensive workload per player would be lower as they won the ball back quickly. But now, with the midfield structure behind him being much messier, pressing would likely be for a longer period, as elite opponents can now keep the ball more effectively against them. This, combined with his aging legs and conserving energy for the attacking phases, means Barcelona effectively defend with 10 men, as his defensive contribution is almost non-existent. This is particularly a problem when he plays on the right, as he leaves the right back isolated. In the last 3 seasons alone, his pressures per game have dropped from an already unimpressive 12.4 to just under 9 this season. In seasons gone by, Suarez was a hard worker looking to press and make up for this difference. But injury and age have seen his pressing take a similar decline to that of Messi. So, Barcelona are constantly on the back foot when defending against elite opposition. So the crucial thing for the next Barcelona manager to figure out is what to do with Messi. Undoubtedly, the team will need to be built around him, but the manager will need to figure out a way to compensate for Messi's weaknesses. Here are a few suggestions, and please note the players mentioned will be a profile of the type of player needed rather than an actual transfer target. If they stick with the 4-3-3, a massive upgrade will be needed at right back, someone capable of dominating an entire flank single-handedly, like Alves did, and players like Trent and Kimmich do now, although both of these options are off the table. Or perhaps a fluid midfielder like previously attempted with Rakitic, who could effectively play the Barca way in the midfield, but be highly comfortable and effective when they move to the right wing. 2 names that spring to mind are the City duo of De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva, both of whom cannot be gotten either. But perhaps the best solution is to move Messi back to the centre to restore balance. And although he has the on-the-ball trait to play deeper, his lack of defensive work rate means that this is impossible. So a return to false 9 could be the answer. This would allow Suarez to rest more often and allow Griezmann to return to one of his preferred positions on the right wing, and Dembele or an incoming left winger, as suggested in our How to Fix Barcelona video. Barca would then have to make sure they have a highly technical and energetic midfield, as elite opponents will no doubt bypass Messi's press fairly easily. Another adaptation to be considered is that unlike a young Messi, running in behind is hardly an option for him anymore, so quick and decisive wingers would be a must. An outside shout would be to use the 4-4-2 with genuine wingers. But then this would place incredible strain on the 2 central midfielders, so it's harder to see this becoming a reality. These are just a few suggestions on how to deal with this delicate problem, but I would love to know how you would look to solve this. Let me know down below. As always, this video has been made possible by my wonderful Patreons like Karen Meta, Devious Zed, Jorge Ferreira, Kusha Aslani, Darius Nute, and the great Bill Lionel. Head on over to patreon.com/footballmadesimple if you want to join the Patreon community.